Good morning, children. Today we are going to study chapter number 8, a treat for mosquitoes. All of you have seen mosquitoes. Let us see the portion given in your textbook. Blood test. Rajat is back at school today. He had been absent for many days. How are you now? Asked Aarti. I am alright, Rajat replied softly. So, as we can see, Rajat has been somewhere for some days. He has been back to school just now after many days. So Aarti is asking him softly, how is he? Let's see and follow the conversation. Jaskirat, you must have played a lot while you were at home. Rajat replying, who wants to play when you have fever? On top of that, I had to take bitter medicine. I have had a blood test even. So Rajat is saying that he was at home and unlike Jaskirat's expectation, he didn't enjoy it at all as he was sick and he was also taking bitter medicine and was unable to do anything fun. Now let's see what Jaskirat says. A blood test? Why? It must have been very painful. So, as it seems, Jaskirat is quite curious about a blood test. Do you know what a blood test is? We will follow up in the story. Now, let us learn about mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are small, midge-like flies. Females of most species are ectoparasites. An ectoparasite is an organism which live on or feed on other organisms' skin or external surface but not from inside, whose tube-like mouth parts pierce the host's skin. It passes through your skin, as you have observed many times, to consume blood. As we have observed that the female mosquitoes depend on our blood for their survival. The word mosquito is Spanish for little fly. So now we know the origin of the word mosquito and some things about the mosquitoes. Now let us again get back to our text. Rajat replies, actually, when the needle pricked my finger, it felt like a little ant bite. They took 2 to 3 drops of blood and sent it for testing. That's how we came to know that I had malaria. From this part, we conclude that Rajat was suffering from malaria. Nancy says, "But you get malaria when a mosquito bites you." Rajat replies, "Yes, but we find out by the blood test." So childrens, we must keep in mind that a blood test is a way by which we can find out about different diseases like malaria. Next, Jaskirat says, "There are a lot of mosquitoes in my house these days, but I did not get malaria." That's an interesting one. Nancy says, "Who says that every mosquito bite causes malaria?" Malaria spreads only by the disease-carrying mosquitoes. That's a very important point. Aarti says, "All mosquitoes look the same to me. There must be some difference," says Rajat. So students, let us learn a bit more about mosquitoes. Mosquitoes have 6 legs. They also have a head, thorax, and abdomen, as you can see in the figure. Mosquitoes can't fly very far or very fast. The Anopheles, a malaria carrier, and the other two are known to spread various forms of encephalitis. Only female mosquitoes bite and suck the blood. That's an important point. Take a note. In these parts of the world, malaria occurs the most. Carefully observe that India is a prone area to malaria. Let us again get back to our text. In the first picture, it is taking the blood on the glass slide for test malaria spreads through female mosquitoes, Anopheles. Second picture shows Dr. Mayam looking at the blood slide under microscope. That device is called a microscope. This microscope makes things look 1,000 times bigger. The detail inside the blood can be seen clearly. There are some microscopes which make things look even bigger than this one. Can you think? Back to the story. Nancy says, "Did they take blood from the place where the mosquito had bitten you?" Rajat replies, "Of course not. How do I know when and where the mosquito bit me?" Nancy says, "But how could they find out if you had malaria by your blood test? Do you think they could see something in the blood?" We will find out. A fun fact about mosquitoes. Both male and female feed mainly on fruit and plant nectar. But the female also needs the protein in the blood to help her eggs develop. Once she had her fill of blood, she will rest for a couple of days before laying eggs. So, female mosquitoes drink blood before laying eggs. That's something interesting. Let us see now what determines the spread of malaria. Malaria spread depends on the following things. First is the rainfall pattern. That is, how often your area gets rainfall. Second, type of mosquitoes in the area. Based on the type of mosquitoes, it will depend will there be malaria or not. Third and the final factor, how close are people to the breeding ground of it. So, it is time for today's activity. From the following figure, try to figure out at least 4 parts of a mosquito. Take a screenshot and write on the following to indicate the parts that you know. Now, as we have gathered a bit knowledge about the malaria causing female Anopheles mosquito, let us learn a bit more detail about it. Malaria is caused by a one-cell parasite. A parasite is an organism which causes diseases. Parasite called a plasmodium. Name of this parasite is plasmodium. Female Anopheles mosquitoes pick up the parasite from the infected people. When they go to different peoples for sucking blood, at that time they pick up the parasite. When they bite to obtain blood needed to mature their eggs, this particularly takes place when the female mosquito goes in search of blood before laying eggs. Inside the mosquito, the parasite reproduce and develop. From one parasite, after entering the mosquito, becomes thousands of them. And each time the mosquito goes to suck blood out of someone, that person gets affected by the same parasite and suffers from malaria. So that was about how malaria is caused. We will learn